Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another pre-market watch list here today. So thank you guys once again for tuning in. I appreciate that. As always, we're going to get rocking and rolling. Maybe wait a few minutes or a couple seconds here. Get some more people in here. Good morning, Robert. Good morning, Nito. So as you can see by the headline of the title, we got a lot more stocks that I'm considering trading today or looking at than we did yesterday. Yesterday turned out to be a pretty good day. As we mentioned on a lot of the stocks yesterday, looked to short a lot of those stocks. BABA, NVIDIA, Tesla was a squeeze, Netflix. So yesterday, all in all, wasn't a bad day. A lot of the stocks went red on the day, but that's okay because as day traders, we should be able to trade both ways of the market. And of course, yesterday had a really big red day in the market overall. The Dow, the S&P, they're all down. So what that then does is further catapult some of those bigger stocks in the same direction. So good morning to everybody. NASDAQ, Felix, Steven, Bobby, Andreas, Ruben, Jen, Marcus. Good morning, guys. So today we got Netflix, ABIL, COOL, BABA, IQ, ACHV, possibly XBIO as well. A lot of stocks to go over, so we will cover them. To answer your question, Scott, how do you recognize a squeeze? So really, there's no light that flashes. There's no hey, it's squeezing, it's squeezing. The idea of a short squeeze or understanding a stock is squeezing is all based on understanding the market. All right. There's no quick answer to understanding a short squeeze. What it comes down to be able to actually recognize a short squeeze comes down to really understanding what's taking place in the market on a day-to-day basis. Meaning, all right, if it's just like anything, it's like a game, right? It's like a game, right? It's like hockey, basketball, soccer, right? The way that I could explain it is you don't know for sure or exactly at what time a short squeeze is going to happen. Just like in a game, you may not know exactly when the coach is going to call a timeout and they're going to exchange players so that some can rest and some new players can come in. You know that it's going to happen. You just don't know exactly when. So if you fully understand the way to play basketball, football, or soccer really well, then you are firsthand are going to know better than anybody else at what time the coach is most likely going to pull some of the players off the field to give them a break and send new players in. For me, I don't really watch soccer. So I personally would have no clue, or I would have no better idea when to expect that the coach is going to start pulling players off to take a break. I know it's going to happen. I just don't know, particularly when. You might know better than me. So to understand when a short squeeze is going to happen, it comes with experience and practice. That's all it is, right? So whenever you see stocks dropping really hard or really fast, that's when you can expect that in the coming days there might be a short squeeze because people were probably shorting the stock, all right? So anywho, let's jump into it. I got a lot of stocks to share, so let's do this. 1 second. Get to sharing the screen. So we'll start here, and then I'll touch back a little bit on short squeezes in a little bit. So first, I'll start with Netflix. So Netflix is already trending back up here this morning. So earlier in the day, I was watching Netflix. Ideally, I want to watch Netflix for a little bit of a green day. I expect that Netflix may, in fact, have a little bit of a green day, but the more it goes up pre-market, the less I like it for a long position. So realistically, this is what you would need to do in order to trade Netflix. So if Netflix is going to have a green day, right, all these areas are going to be resistance. All these little pop areas from it coming down, every time it came down and then popped, would be a resistance area along with the $400 mark. All right. So personally, I do like Netflix potentially to the long side. But, after yesterday's big red day, I honestly would not be surprised to see it go red again. So the way I'll be working with Netflix today, oh, excuse me, apologize. I thought I shared the screen. There we go. There we go. There you go, guys. Apologize. Here we are. So now that the screen is being shared, I guess I'll take a step back and redo everything. So again, I personally think Netflix might have a little bit of a bounce today, considering yesterday it dropped from $410 all the way to $378. So yesterday alone, that's 20, 22. It lost $32 a share from the opening bell, basically. So from like its pre-market high till the low of day, it lost $32 a share. So to see it pop up a little bit today is not so far-fetched. All right. So I do believe we might see a little bit of a green day here on Netflix. I don't know exactly what's going to happen, of course. So that's why I'll show you the way I'm thinking. All right. So for me, I will mark off each one of these pops, right? So from market open, we popped up here, right? We came down and popped there. We came down, popped there. We came down, and then we popped there. So all these spots that I'm circling are all the areas in which the stock popped yesterday. So what I would then want to do is mark off these all as resistance areas. And today, if Netflix starts going up, each one of these green lines could be resistance. Okay, so if you're going to watch Netflix long, you need to pay attention to each one of these resistance areas, as it might perform as a strong resistance intraday. As Netflix heads up, it might in fact hit any of these resistance areas and start going red. So I think initially what we'll probably see is maybe Netflix go green, but I think it will probably finish the day out down. It's hard to say for sure, because if you look at the market too, the market is pushing up higher right now. I expect we're going to have a green day on the market. If you look at this daily chart, okay, if you look at this daily chart, it's right at support. Okay, so we have this going on, boom, boom. So chances are we're probably going to start bouncing on the marketplace today. So I think the overall market is going to go green today. And what that will then do is probably help drive the price of some of these bigger tech stocks like Netflix, Baba, and Facebook all upwards, okay? So I do expect we're going to go green, but honestly, I think what's going to happen is it's going to push higher into some of these resistance points, and then it's going to start dropping out. So I think we might initially go green first, to then follow by a red move. All right, so I'll be watching Netflix initially long, but I will also be thinking short bias at every single one of these green marks. All right, or every single one of these resistance points. On to the next one, we'll talk about ABIL. So yesterday I was completely wrong about ABIL. I'm not afraid to admit it. I was wrong. I didn't see it really having a big day, and then it ended up squeezing out of the gates. And it ran from $5 all the way to a high of $10.60 yesterday. And now pre-market, it's set in a high of, set in a high here at $12. And now it's starting to roll over, and it's holding support on yesterday's high a day. So currently, ABIL has a support level at about $10.60, which is also yesterday's high of day. Okay, so what I would do is I would watch ABIL today. If ABIL holds support above 1060 and does not break, then I will look to long it down here towards the 1060 mark in the hopes that it squeezes back up. Because what's going to happen is there's going to be a lot of short sellers. Okay, let me zoom in a little bit. There's going to be a lot of short sellers trying to push this price down below $10.60. So if it doesn't break 1060, it will probably squeeze off that level. All right. If it breaks down below 1060, my next line in the sand would be 950 or $10. Okay. So if that 1060 doesn't hold, the next level I'd look for is this $10 level. And then after that would be this 950 level. Okay. So these are each areas at which we could see ABIL bounce today. All right. But honestly, I would be more short bias on ABIL than I would be long bias. But I do personally feel that at some point today, we are going to see a short squeeze on ABIL, and I would expect it to probably happen off of the 1060, $10, or the $9.50 mark. So mark off all those levels as possible bounce areas for ABIL. All right. On to the next one, COOL. One second. COOL. All right. So COOL yesterday went from about $40, $39, $38 to a low of $24. If you're not sure why, COOL got Citron. Yes, you heard me correctly. They got Citron researched yesterday. If you're newer to trading and you're not familiar with what I just said, basically yesterday they got hit with some bad news. Citron research reported and or tweeted something that the company is fraudulent, and their stock immediately took a turn for the worst. And yesterday there is a news report here down in the news channel of Thinkorswim. And if you look, it says new investigation alert by Shaw Law Firm investigating claims of Polarity TE Incorporated encourages investors with an excess of $100,000 in losses to contact the law firm. Regardless of that, the stock, it got crushed yesterday. Everything that was taking place was shorting. All this was short selling, short selling, short selling. All right. So today, I'm not crazy about COOL, but considering the negative news and considering how much it got short sold yesterday, today we might have a short squeeze. All right. There might be a short squeeze play initially out of the gate. So I will be watching COOL here today, long bias. Around maybe $28, $29 in hopes that it does, in fact, have a short squeeze. Okay. I know some of you are going to be newer. Now, this stock has range. All right. It has about a 20 to 30 cent spread. So do be careful if you're going to trade it. But I'm playing this stock on the idea that today it might, in fact, have a short squeeze after that big red day it's seen yesterday. Again, today or yesterday, there was a lot of people shorting the stock all day long, especially after the news came out. And if there's anybody that's still short from yesterday, they might today cover. Okay, and that could cause the stock to squeeze. So today I'll be watching COOL, potentially long bias over this $29 mark, somewhere in this area, right around $28, $29. No guarantee that it goes long. Again, it had really negative news yesterday. So it's very possible or more likely that we're going to see it actually come down. So keep COOL on your short watch list, but also keep it on your long watch list just in case it gives a short squeeze today. All right. What's going on, Tyler? All right, guys, on to the next one is BABA. So BABA is basically the same thing as Netflix. All right. BABA got crushed. Actually, BABA's been getting hit for the past couple days, right? If I look at this on a 1 year chart, BABA's just been getting, from 211, it's been coming down. So BABA is just now starting to bounce. It's kind of bouncing in a random spot. Regardless of that, I would say watch BABA today for a potential long bias trade. If the market goes green, we're most likely going to see BABA start going green as well, in which I'd be looking to get long entry over this trend line somewhere in this area. Okay. So BABA is very similar to Netflix in the fact that it tends to follow the same direction of the overall market. The overall market, I would expect today has a bounce day or it goes green. So I would expect BABA would probably do the same. And the idea here is you're going to mark off each level on BABA, which would be a possible resistance point from yesterday, which are all these peak areas. Okay, so again, I'm thinking long biased on BABA, and I would look to even short BABA if it rejects any one of these resistance points where it comes up to it and hits that green line and it sees resistance. All right, so again, possible long bias trade on BABA today. Next on the list is IQ. So IQ has already started moving up this morning. We were going to say, so yesterday I said to watch IQ for a bounce. It almost happened, but it didn't. So yesterday was one day too early, and it looks like today is the day that IQ wants to try and bounce. All right. So if you're not familiar, if you look at this daily chart, IQ has been getting hammered to the downside. All right. So I will be watching IQ for a bounce today to the long side. So right now, if you do a Fibonacci retracement, you'll see that BABA is just in the, or not BABA, sorry, IQ is like right in the middle of the 38.2 and the 50% retracement level on a Fibonacci, which means it's a strong chance that it would in fact bounce today. So I'll be watching IQ for a bounce today. I know that a lot of people have been shorting the stock over the past couple days, which means it runs a strong possibility and or risk of it short squeezing very big today. So what I will then do is I would mark off each level that it might see resistance and a squeeze over. So this level right here, that's going to be the first one. Well, actually, it's more like, yeah, I guess that's really the first one. One right here. Some right there. Some right here. So just marking off all the levels at which you would probably see resistance on IQ. End of the story. I believe IQ is going to set up for a nice green day or a strong bounce day. So I'll be watching IQ long bias today. All right. I have not traded TVIX in a while, but yes, I still pay attention to them. I'll cover them here in a second or two. ACHV. ACHV is the next one on the list. ACHV is a penny stock that has received some good news this morning about a positive cytosine data demonstrating no clinically significant drug-to-drug interaction, blah, blah, blah. So at the end of the day, Achieve Life Sciences Incorporated has received good news on their company this morning in regards to some of their drugs. With that being said, you can see that the stock is already performing pretty well this morning, gapping up, consolidating, and going through another push. And now it has a pre-market high of $5.90. All right, $5.90. Where's 590? 590 is like right here. So that would be just more than the gap up. So ACHV has room to run. It has a lot of room. Okay. I mean, the 200 moving average is all the way at $20. The 50 moving average is all the way at $9. So based on where the price is currently on ACHV, it has some room to run. Okay. There is really not too much resistance above it that's going to stop it if it wanted to run. All right. So keep your eyes on ACHV this morning for a penny stock. It is currently, again, it is currently performing into a little bit of a bullish pennant. Okay, which means we could very well see something like this. Or that. And that's going to be the money spot right there. Okay, so keep ACHV on your watch list for a long bias trade today. Now, I don't have too much more time left here, so I will cover TVIX very fast. Update. Okay, I'll do that first. Update on Cron. Let's see. Where's Cron at? So again, as mentioned, Cron could be performing into a double top pattern. I think I said that either yesterday or the day before. And as you can see, it did in fact perform into a double top pattern where it's now coming down. So if I'm going to buy Cron, again, it's going to be at that support trend line, and if it breaks over that trend line resistance and pushes higher. Okay, so at this point, Cron is still neutral. There's no buy and there's no sell on Cron for me yet. It's still a neutral stock unless it hits this trend line support and starts showing signs of an uptrend. Then I will look to buy Cron for a long bias swing trade. All right, and then lastly here is TVIX. So TVIX, a lot of people are probably talking about it this morning because it had such a good day yesterday. If you want my honest opinion, I would say short TVIX today. All right, and if you're going to play TVIX, you must, again, mark my words. If you're going to play the ticker TVIX, you must follow TVIX 100% side by side the stock market. So whether that's the Dow Jones, whether that's the S&P 500 or the SPY ETF, you must keep track or follow it side by side with one of those indexes. Okay, it's either the S&P 500, Dow Jones, or the SPY ETF or Spider ETF, SPY. You must follow TVIX alongside with that because TVIX isn't it's basically an inverse ETF of the stock market, meaning whenever the stock market goes down and it becomes more volatile, TVIX will see an increase in volume and buying pressure, which thus results in the price of TVIX going higher. So if you're going to follow TVIX closely, this is ideally what you need to follow. You need to follow either the SPY and then the volatility index, the VIX. Look at this. This is the volatility index. Tell me, does the volatility index, does the volatility index here on the right side of my screen, I got to put charts back up. Charts, take away level 2. So look at this. Does the volatility index on the right side of the screen look very similar to TVIX? 1 second, I'll pull it up. Wouldn't you guys agree that the volatility index here on the right side of the screen looks very similar to TVIX on the right side of the screen? Yes, because the volatility index basically dictates what's going to happen to TVIX. Okay, so this might be a little over some of your guys' heads for right now, but that's okay. But again, I would say watch to short TVIX today, as the market I would expect is going to go green on the day. Okay, that's a good question. Is it shortable? Let's see, TVIX. TVIX is hard to borrow. You can't short it unless you're on the hard to borrow program with Thinkorswim or TD Ameritrade. So for me, I cannot short it, and that is what it is, or at least on TD Ameritrade. All right. Other than that, let's see. Lee, that's a no-go. Yep. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's all I have for you today on the pre-market watch list. So I apologize if we didn't have time to get over everybody's stocks today or really take a look at a lot of your guys' stocks today. Again, I apologize. We got a lot of tickers to go over today, but I'm pretty sure with any one of the tickers I have mentioned here on the watch list today, there should be something to play, or any one of these stocks that I mentioned will have a good move throughout the day. Remember, guys, all the stocks that I mention, the reason I mention them is that I see value in them. And so you can better understand my thought process is I don't necessarily look for a stock that's going to skyrocket all day. nor do I necessarily look for a stock that's just going to dump all day. What I do is I look for stocks that I know will most likely throughout the day, in the beginning of the day, see volatility, see movement. Okay. I could be thinking long bias, or I could be thinking short bias and be wrong and still make money on the stock, because I can trade the stocks both short bias and both long bias, which means I don't really care what direction they go as long as they're moving. Okay. If they're going up or down, that's all that matters to me. Of course, I still have an input on whether they're going to be long biased or short biased because, well, we're traders and that's what we do. Okay. So all the stocks that I mentioned are specifically stocks that I think have a great chance of moving throughout the day or having a play. So, for example, a lot of times on the watch list, right? I might get every once in a while, I might get some backlash and people be like, all the stocks you mentioned were red on the day. True. But did you also notice my Netflix mention yesterday moved $32 a share? Think about that. Think about it, guys. Netflix moved $32 per share yesterday. If you don't talk, that's a huge move. I mean, that's basically amazing, right? If you're short bias, if you're a long bias trader, you'd look at that and go, what the hell is this? And that's why, as you develop, you want to make sure you become able to short and go long. You want forehand and forehand and backhand, right? So again, a lot of the stocks I mentioned, I see will have movement throughout the day. And I don't care what direction, as long as it's moving. Okay. And granted, I won't boast here, but as Mr. Nazir here said, I tend to be right a lot of the times. I don't care, to be honest. I do this for fun. I'm here on for fun, right? So again, take what I say with a grain of salt. Always make sure to do your own research in the stocks and to make sure you see value. But the more you hang on here on our live stream, the more you tune in every single day, you'll get a better feel for my strategy. And not that you even need to trade any of the stocks that I trade, but for one, you will learn. You'll learn the way that I think, and it gives you a secondary input or second opinion on these stocks, right? And there you go. It's called day trading. Daniel, to answer your question real quick, would I recommend going to a cash account on Robinhood to get around the pattern day trading rule? I recommend, the only time I really ever recommend somebody ever on their Robinhood account to go from their margin account to a cash account on Robinhood is if you have at least $4,500 or $5,000 in your account. Okay. The reason I say that is because you can trade with $1,000 each day. You'll have one trade each day, netting you a total capital of usage $1,000. Okay. So if you go to a cash account, the only way I recommend doing a cash account is if you have a good chunk of change, which in my opinion would be about $5,000, because at $5,000 you can divide your trading days 5 days a week, and you can trade with $1,000 each day, Monday through Friday. And that's the only time I would ever recommend somebody going to a cash account versus the margin account on Robinhood. So the stone, to answer your question, the way that I trade, whenever I look at my stocks, I'm always thinking of what's most likely going to happen today within the first 30 minutes to an hour. Understand that too. Whenever I mention my stocks, I always am thinking, when I mention these stocks, my watch list is what do I think will most likely happen within the first 30 minutes to 1 hour, or basically from start of market open at 9:30 till 11 o'clock, what I would most likely think is going to happen to those stocks. Because I'm a day trader, so most of my input and opinion will be solely based on what I think will happen within the first few hours of market open, not even caring about what's going to happen in the next 2 days. Because I don't care what's going to happen tomorrow. I don't care what's going to happen 3 days from now, because I will figure out what's going to happen 3 days from now, 3 days from now. Okay. I focus on what's going to happen now, most likely today, because then I'll come back tomorrow with a completely new game plan based off of what happened yesterday. Okay. So for IQ, I personally think we're going to see it bounce or squeeze today, and I'll trade that momentum. Do I think it's going to naturally go green for the next 5 days? No, I don't. I think we're going to bounce, then we're going to see some red, personally. Let's see. I'd like to do RH with cash account. They won't let me trade options. So that's kind of a give and take there with the whole options thing. My broker is TD Ameritrade. All China are going to be red, so I want appropriation of China. Marion L, do I watch more level 2 or technical setups before placing a trade? I watch it all. Time and sales window, depth of market, level 2, charts, trend lines, moving average, everything. Everything is all together for me. So for me, what I like to see for percentage gains a day is kind of irrelevant, because I have such a large account that, you know, even if I make $10,000 in a day, my account value is only going to increase by a couple percent. So like my percentage gains as a whole in comparison to account size is a little bit different, because my account's pretty big. So when I trade, right, if I go up a few $1,000s in a day, I'm not really, like, as a whole, my account's only growing by a few percent, not a ton. But, you know, like, everyone always mentions it's good to aim for like a 2 to 3% gain a day, which is true. You know, I don't necessarily go by, I'm going to try and make 10% gain on the stock. The way I think is I'm going to take X amount of shares. I think the stock can move X amount of dollars, and I do simple math, right? So like for example, the stock IQ, I know for a fact IQ has the potential to move $2 to $3 per share on any given day. And if I can find the most correct entry and take 3,000 shares on IQ, and I know that it can move $2, $3, $4 a share like that, if I get the perfect entry with 3,000 shares, the thing can instantly pop up $1, instantly pop $2, and I'll be up $4,000, $6,000 on the day. That's the way I trade. I don't necessarily look at percentage gains. I do have to go. I got to get back to the private group, so I will end it there and leave you guys with that. Let's see. Anything. Yeah, so I got to go there. I'm going to head back to the private group. Everybody take care. I will see you guys all tomorrow for another pre-market watch list. So anyways, that's where we'll end it. Make sure to have a good day. Stay green. Hopefully, make sure to get you guys some coffee before you trade, maybe even a Twix bar. For those of you that aren't feeling yourself this morning, make sure to grab a Twix bar. If you haven't seen the commercial, apparently it works really well. You can go from Betty White to Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson by one bite, one single bite, and you go from Betty Johnson to Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. All right, so, or Betty White, excuse me, Betty White to Johnson. Okay, so get yourself a Snickers and a coffee, do what you got to do, and I'll see you guys all tomorrow morning. Take care, have a good day.